Amúgy csinos. Babuddha Badhama Basangana Allah Adlehe Arai Kach Miklat Bizchut Nedivot Ushamidot Tovot Lo Asig Budiyut Lerivchat Kulam.
Boto de ma tamche bate babo suna de jado je de vision la da lo da wa de gebe ge thole do je che do da cho ba ji de chula sa da lo do wa la ya do la ba da la da ge chang na da ba yong ji je ge de la ya sa lo je de le da ba ba me la je lo pa mo ro ba ja wa ro ba ka ju lo ma na la so wa de o mi chi je ja ba de da go Rasem Jugo Gozo de Bata, Lameja Lazo, the something I tell a shooting chain, or so much of Hajila, and the Dajina, Tamba Jujin, and the Zazo. At least I like to go on the bar. Yet I'm like getting a core, she or it. At least like the community, I Jawata Jasat or Shatsari, the Hinang, the Tala Gomji Diki. Gomna Kari Pingedo, Magomna Kari Nugodo, Gomna Drevo Karido, this our Hakori. The Gomna Kari Pingedo, Tata, Sotata Sansinuke, Sanchok and the Chupu, Jong the Sanchok and the good owner, the treated this our Kang Jena, Ramji, Jamba, Ramji, Chachan, and we are the Jakarta Mamanga Tamil something, Chatham Ramji, Zuba Ramji, Yore, Etarate Peter Suare, Yena, the like a Gomji taking, Maguna, no Pagunate Carido, somewhat done with Lisa. So, Malamda, in Garbali, that's somewhat angry. Malamda, in Gargapani, Zop may produce a wool up and Zop will listen to a Madocina. Malamda Julius of Julugan, Malam Yamendina, or Malam Zonet and Dogam Madok, Zok Madok, or not Dungin Dogam Madok, Jinang Dogam Madok, or that Dungin and Jinang Chipachita, you heard the caress in the Yoga, not Lumina, Dungin Kayak, Jinang Kayak, or some of them, that Bakchad, telling worried, see my knee, something, see Bakchad, Three new mobile Josie, the Bakchak jeans in it. Three Dungi Tatari Katsava, you will Kashila, Nawa the Yadaga Dungi Siena. Ah, today I'm doing on Toya Kichari. The Chamira, the moon, so, oh, that is a tool, Kotichi, Tablaki, Beshek, or Missing your marriage to the Lamni, your it. You make the same thing, you move what the only you move what the Mazo part the Tripacha de Shayong Repena. She down as of the Yavaguni Shayong. Shall look calmly. Tata Meshadankin and Ting one, Maramana, Takashi Jara, Tatar and Topajo, young palms on Maramti, Tatan Togore. Captain Lissy, need said or Tade, Mulimana race. There is a take a Tamango or Malapti, Malapta will lay flower some. There's some glory, they hot on not to touch him or it.
So, my Dhamma friends, this morning we spoke about the practice of the Yidam deity. And so then when we practice the Yidam deity properly, that it is like a king that is seizing his kingdom. And so now we should also reflect on what are the benefits of practicing the deity and what could be the harm of not practicing a deity, and what is the fruition when we practice a deity. That's a point that we need to clearly understand. So as for the benefits of practicing a deity, we have already mentioned before that on the path of individual liberation and the bodhisattvas, the primary focus is on training the mind in bodhicitta. And then when bodhicitta has arisen in the mind stream, then whatever you do in the world or in the Dharma naturally will become a practice of, for example, generosity or ethical discipline and so on. You mentioned before this example with a country. If there is love, then just naturally there will be no harm and so on. We practice patience and ethical discipline and so on. So for the harm that could arise, then the problem that could arise when we do not practice a deity at all, is that normally we make a division between the dreaming state of the mind and the waking state of the mind in the daytime, for example. And so, first of all, we should look into whether or not what kind of body it is, this formless body that we experience in the dream state. For example, in the 6 dharmas of Naropa, we speak about the illusory or dreamlike body. So at that time, there is no real body. The experience that is experienced is not an experience of the actual body. And then the next thing we should look at is then at that time, what kind of experience arises. We experience suffering, we experience fear, and actually those experiences of suffering and fear and so on are exactly the same as in the waking state. So then you might wonder why, because if I don't have a body there, why do I experience fear and suffering? It is because of those imprints in the mind. These imprints, that is the belief in the reality of this lifetime. The cause are the afflictive emotions, and those imprints are the conditions. And the experience of suffering is even more intense than in the waking state, actually. So sometimes when you tell people about the existence of the hell realms and the hungry spirits, they don't even really want to hear any of that, and they don't believe it. For example, we speak about these states, for example, are explained in the aspiration prayer of Sukhavati by Chagmiraka Ase. And then some people think that's all not real, and they're just skillfully explaining something to you. But actually, for as long as there are afflictive emotions in the mind, those imprints are going to appear. And then the manifestation of this imprint of anger, for instance, is the experience of hell. And we can also see that right now in our dreams, when if we have a very strong imprint of anger and hatred and so on, then all of those figures in our dream will appear as an enemy, and we constantly fight or struggle against something, and then we lose, and then we win, and then we fight again, and so on. And then we wake up, and then we realize that it was just a dream. And so then we might think, oh, it's just a dream. So if it's just a dream, it's very easy. And all of this talk is just deception. And if you think in this way, then you're really making a very big mistake.
싸워대는 오 임parte를 니 세살이다 말함데 제가 차도 그래 니가 니가 나와 지금 토야만 니가 말람 나와 차대요 그래 뒤는 산이 쉬어가니 조건이니 납치 살아 동네 다 말람 나지 저거 요래 말람 나지 너한테 이 세야 말람리 들이 제가 동네지 이 세야면 다시 오 말람리 파줘야 요 말이 진하와도 주세배 봐 요거 요래 맨날 가시 동네 세들 지 동네 총총 요래 때 빵을 제대로 하시다가 요래 라시 잡리게 다 빵토고 요 말이 다들 동네 되란 거 다디기 뉴모블 레스 무슨 분이 거래 디동에리 사실 셔도 다디기 냠도 손에 독이 되게 독 다디 뉴모 맞아 버지 박차디 샤요 거래 이게 박차래 이거 박차 최대야 박차래 말람때야 박차 이거 박차나 들이들라 다다 완전 어때지는 루즈 박차 좀 나가 박차 좀 하지 상할 때 가래 라고냐다 나다야 데리요리 르박차 종을 라고냐 나가 박차 종을 나다야 데리는 세고 박차 종한테 나한테 방고 집안에 사족 셈지게 소탈가로 소탈 상승이 집안은 르당아이 박차 종을 가로 다 사세레 오늘 지라데 고물지 르고 박차 가리 종거도 종을 가리에 삼았다 거야 종을 가리에 삼았다는 들이 다다 르딜러 들이 무슨 초와 쪽다 차장 뜨거운 원 다시 르들이 초와 마고지요 르들 뒤 맵절기는 들이 르드 초와데 내용 아주 버체다 님지 반은 콜로네 콜고요 이 생거 동달다 르그 동달에서 오다 르그 동달에서 샘을 다치 샘을 지스면 르그 초와데 용킨이 샘을 하지 딸 손손들도 차네 제일지는 딸 쪽을 루에스 루면은 샘을때 만남 모니테 속 닥터로 잘라서 받아지 동 초와 요나는 초와서 요리마도 양치는 거에 진짜 요말에 배세서 차들 어떻게 속도 면은 산지 때서 초와도 매일 올라오스 그 속도 다 나의 rel라 말에 삼았다나 딸라니 속되면 소화하지 르전도 강 남시도 보르데 르드랑 소스 말에서 하거나 들이 다 가가 차연 거래 들이 오다 르드 박차도 좀 쳤나 들이 박차 속 치워대 좀 터거도 샘들은 천상이 봐 하고 터거도 들이 대잘 양들도 요래 들이 르드 박차도 다 흘래 다 깨는 거 주고 요래
So we have to clearly look at the difference between the dream state of the mind and the waking state. Now, so when you wake up from your dream, then you realize it was just a dream. And then during the daytime, all of these appearances of the dream are gone. And likewise in the dream, all of the appearances of the daytime are gone and the day is just like a dream. And when you die and the consciousness leaves the body, then you go into another dreamlike state. And it is just that this is a kind of dream that you cannot wake up from. So imagine you're in a dream that you realize you're in and you suffer, but you just can't get out of it. You can't wake up. And then these appearances of that dream in the bardo then continue to manifest. And so often when people experience even the slightest difficulty in this life, they sometimes think they can bring an end to it by, for example, committing suicide. But actually, by doing that, we cannot actually avoid suffering. And because what continues on is the self-grasping and the afflictive emotions and the karma, the action of what we have done. And the suffering will be even more intense after we have died. Because it all comes down to this concept of there being a self. And until that is completely dissolved, until that is gone, imprints are going to continue to arise. Actually, all experience is just the manifestation of our own imprints. This entire life, actually, everything that you experience in this life is the manifestation of your own imprint. And the dream is your own imprints. Everything actually is just that. Now during an empowerment, we are introduced to those imprints. And we are introduced to methods to purify the imprints of the body and the imprints of the speech mainly. And that's the skillful means of the secret mantra. It is the visualization of the deity and the mantra recitation, whereby we purify those imprints. When we visualize our form as the deity, we purify the imprints of the body. And when we recite the deity's mantra, we are purifying the imprints of the speech. And then through bodhicitta, we are purifying the imprint of the mind that is self-grasping. And when it comes to bodhicitta, then the path of the individual liberation and the bodhisattva path are the same as in the Vajrayana path. We cultivate bodhicitta. But in the Vajrayana, we have the special skillful means of also purifying our body and speech through the visualization of the deity and the mantra recitation. And so then next, we have to understand how this actually happens. How are we actually purifying our physical imprints of the body when we visualize the deity? So based on the body, because we have a body, we experience this world through the 6 senses. And so because of those sense perceptions, those sense doors, we experience suffering like hunger and thirst and heat and cold, poverty and so on. So all of these feelings arise based on the body and the sense doors of the body. And in order to create a comfortable environment for the body and its sense doors, and in order to enjoy the 5 sense pleasures, we work hard day and night continuously. Everything is about this. So why are we doing that? Are we doing that really to find some mental peace, or are we doing it for our body? We are really doing it for our body. And the one who is experiencing it, however, is the mind. And for the time being, the body and the mind are connected. So we are normally considering our body as more important. And actually, even in the dream state, for example, when we do not have a body, we still have these habitual imprints of having a body. And for this reason, even there, we still experience sensations of seeing form, sound, hearing sound, and experiencing smell, touch, and so on. So we have all of those feelings. But these are just sensations that we experience due to those imprints. But actually, there is no real body as a basis that experiences all of these. And when you realize that, then all of these feelings and fixations to them disappear. And so to understand it, we first have to really see, am I or am I not this body? In the 37 practices, it says, consciousness, the guest, will cast aside the guest house of the body. So the body is not who you really are. You are actually not the body. And when you visualize the deity, then those ordinary imprints of identifying with this body will become purified. And actually, if you're able to purify your ordinary imprints of the body, you have really removed a great deal of your imprints. And then you will be able to understand how all of these appearances of this life are just confused perceptions of the mind. And knowing that will make your mind feel much lighter, much more lighthearted about everything. And so this is where with this understanding is where the practice of the deity yoga, the development stage begins.
Then Jerem, like Jerem, Gom, Namba Sanjay, Yami J, Trisana Jedola, Yami J, say some children, the Tapa Jurute. Tapa Jurute, the Tapa, the Christ Hassel, the Dajin, Yidi Tasson, Yidi Yomar, Yidi Tago, Sanchok Nabanji, Yidi Tassona, 3 pintu, Sakam Batrachi, Yonaya. Batrachi the flat chick on Saka Batrani or Chipa, Naba Rambata, Jazam Nanki on the young. Nidi on married. There is the Jeshi on married. there lucky Jaroson, Tapu Juliet. On the so Namli Bajabi Shesona Carriorte, Madaba Juliet. Julie Chipachi to Zogme, Chipachi, the same Nizi, dying Nizi, Tella Chadang, Devala Chapata, Togil down, dying Nizi, Tatani, Chadang Gado Yobe. Then it tell it in it, Tata, Dandy, Tala Shuni, Man Coadore, Lani Sodim and Somali. The game is Dandy Dole, the game is Dadin Dole, that gives you Lord, Gin, or that you. Tini kechega tini semni yumo ba kare shok chena ti nawa ke ola ti lelong je ti jiswa shoto ko re cholo kare de pena ta rang to hajo te wa china kholo lo la san so ta ngalo ti kholo de cholo lo mang bol rang ke sam te sama ji le ta lelong wa de cholo de shedang wa de cholo so ta meche kang che de wa la cha ba de tini tini yumo ba de tini so chu ma wo ko o ti nang ji 들다 바도니지 뉴모 찍차서 지원 같으니 시랑가 냐와 selnaga yada ya tamok tanro in songsomde nyumo sok chisu somde kaste ko wangjerde kisek ti lu yang chdo yore mada ba juriti yimang chires yimang kare o nyumo ba kare ki tatara nyumo sen nyumo mo chorsona ta san이 바돌이 때 소리들이 바디 줄 코알 참도 요래서 마다 바 줄리테 라마 요 말에 이왕 유모가 레롱고 왕 레롱데 사다 하고서 때 하고 그래 다다 유모 왕데 소소 바돌이 때 지왕도 소디 바돌 끼ጭ끼ጭ 뒤밑에 쳤다고 요래 다다 유모 왕데 소나 레사도 말 접다고 요 말에 루치데 마도 바데 산이 됐다 사들이 레디 바돌이 끼ጭ끼 뒤왕의 소리들이 다 찔렸다 저들이 다 맞았다 로지 제발들이 소리도 그래 마다바 줄때 있는 성수는 또 요래 돼 노력돼 따로 또 요래 돼 하고 그래.
So now, as we engage in the practices of the secret mantra, we practice the different kind of deities. We visualize their form. We practice the development stage and the completion stage in the Vajrayana. And that this deity yoga practice, the deity that is accomplished, is what we call the pure illusory body. And so what it is pure of is the dualistic fixation to a self-other duality. And it is purified through the twofold bodhicitta. So when the mind becomes purified of the dualistic fixation to a self-other duality, you accomplish the deity. And then even though you might have 100,000 different forms of deities, their essence is a single one. They appear in as many forms as there are little light particles in a rainbow and so on, but they do not exist in a distinct or separate way. They are not separate from each other in essence. Their essence, their nature also transcends birth and death. So that is the deity, which is your body, the king of deities. It is the pure illusory body. And then there is the impure illusory body. And so if you die not having practiced, then you will create this impure illusory body. So that impure illusory form is actually formless, insubstantial. It is actually the same as this deity body in terms of being insubstantial. But in the mind, there still is a dualistic perception of self and other. And due to that, there still is an attachment to happiness or pleasure, and an aversion against suffering or pain. So there is, just like now, this dualistic perception of self and other. So if you live this life riding on the horse of self-grasping, then this horse will bring you down into the lower states of samsara, where you will wander. In the 37 practices, it says, all suffering, without exception, comes from wishing for one's own happiness. So when there is a concept of an existing self, there's also the appearance of other. And then in the Bardom, in an instant, whichever of the afflictive emotions is predominant will become projected and manifest before you. And that is what we call becoming controlled by the winds of karma. So how do we become controlled by the winds of karma? For example, in this life, you have a companion that you love very much, and one day you get angry at each other and you fight. And that moment, even if you spend many years together, that moment you lose all your love and you start to hate that person. So you have become controlled by the karmic wind of anger or hatred. And you have lost the basis of happiness for this life, that is love. And so then, because the mind is afflicted, then many other faults come from that. And so then in the Bardom, when an afflictive emotion arises, whichever one it is, instantly it will become a manifestation, a self-projection. And that is, if it is anger, then that will project as hell. And if it is stinginess, then that will project as hungry spirits. And if it is ignorance, it will project as an animal. And so, and that will bring you to the 3 lower realms. So in that moment, it happens very quickly. Instantaneously, you are already creating this new body, this impure, illusory body here. And the impure, illusory body is marked by the characteristic of being controlled, so lacking any self-control. And being controlled by whichever of the afflictive emotions is the strongest. And so we can observe how this happens right now. Right now, if you become controlled by an afflictive emotion, then you will become controlled by that same emotion in the Bardom. But the difference is that in the Bardom, if you become controlled by an afflictive emotion, you will instantly create a corresponding body or form and a next life. And that is different than in this life, because in this life you do become controlled by the affliction. And so all that is really happening in this life is becoming controlled by afflictive emotions. You accumulate karma, but you're not instantly creating a new body already, because you still have to now stay in this life for as long as the karma or the imprint of this life exists. And then when that is exhausted, it goes on to the Bardom. So you're not instantly creating this new body in this life. But in the Bardom, the moment you become controlled by the afflictive emotion, it is different, because very quickly, in the flash of an instant, you have already become an animal, also, and so on. And this is like how the difference then comes about between humans and animals, for example. This is how quickly it happens. So here at this point, we have the impure, illusory body in the state of in the Bardom. So it is important to understand like the way in which that happens, how we become controlled by the afflictions and so on.
Dari kaji jerimla ya jerimla neti chidi lui damjal sara neti kar che gore dile dari jerim ga kami tiri sawa la neti napa sawa la neti chene dari ga ta tren wan kang tokwa ti sla ti kwasle yang da da ne tiri ti rang mek semle char tiri o like the same young thing the same charlatani card shot gore the last in the same shot gore I think go da la carry mati and chimbata te on the basums chimbata the arag much ragi semjin tapje come to one but not last over time chingu yore 제와라 들 마치고 봤다고 sep지 탐지를 제와 요래 들 하세게 네발라 들 라지 거세 양당 양 사축세들을 곰나 들 타축 사지지 공방 내가 더 있다 타축 사지 공방 탑 틀리겠니 봐 들이장게 이시게 때봐 좀제 때 사축세고 용띠라 따뜻이 공이 레주게 값 랍차래 오 사축세미지 사축세 문제가 들 살매 요래 the Sawatapasum, the Ichite Bas, Clarion Dinasty, Tamateba, Trite Niparatin, Dupateba, Trisovami Party, Ichiteba, Tepasum, the Lion, oh, that's like a Tanka Tona. That's all the Batabares, the Lara, Chuko, Longo Chukosum, the Lonkota Chukote, some Jogotel, Tapajiri, Tapa, Le Tapatam, any Joram rate. The Lingoson, Tata, Nekap, Mata, Chuko, then the water to Tamachuko, Kongs, Yore, Chuko, the Chuko, and Navana, Zotroboka, Ya, Taka, Koda, De La Soka, Joatroboka, Lama, gave it, any painting, 1600. People that they will in, they took geometry. Poor energy is more just in Romaso Shekhi, that's in dollar something over the Kazi. Pakistan is Mogul just in Romaris. There's Zok to Omajona, Pop Moni Chepayama, several something over it, that is Larry, the flashes of Sanchok Sem. There is sort of Laguna, the Sanchok Center, General Lagom, that Tapajari Chakuri. So Sanchok Sem may pass again. Lagona, Madaba Juri just is Wugusum Gangli. Toma, the Chu, Mudro Sabs, Mudro, Chut Tamji, Mudra Engine, Sanchok Sem words. Sanchok Sem, Charlie, Lagona, the Madaba Juri Changori, Daji Ninango, Sanchok Semena. Daji Ninam, Zok Latin or 17 Jok Tabna, the Dior, Darwin Jinang. Less hour Pacha, Nivayore, Domeyore, Daji Nioni Zonde, the Sancho Sound Daji Nimecha or Levanity. The Sancho Sung, you want things of Madra, like got a Semasana, the Napasavad, Shadi Semasana, the Cardo, the Lati, Rang, Merton, Natani, Sensa, Sound, Ragsem, Yohan, when I open a child, Yellow take on when you social on the similar trip they are the Daji Nime Hakon. The young to the son of the flat on Ragsim, the Meron Tower, that's a flat shut dogs on the Jima Ragsim Bahama over the Yvonne what tongues are at the part of the not some man like Judicial, yeah, not young man, he took his eye jacket, flat ham of dog or don't tell, flat semi Jayamera. Don't let him know she. They part of Topocha. They part of Topo, Nango Topo, the Pamachi of Perna, Ponaji cha. They really flat and Nisamepa, flat on your Kakamaiba. Chat, they much up at the region of Ira, yes, so. Such you did not lami, you the flat around Yemi by child, Kakamaiba, Nizimi by child. The Lingunated sugar pole, your pena. Oh, flat a Topoya, Pochana, longer to your. Talent Sanchok Sem the matter, Drucadele, Yang Dua, Major, Gialli, the year. Searching a term of what she and the young Yagar, Drucker Sanke, some of us with the draw your they have one, they tell you the Sanchok Sem, you the Flagom in the bar. That they can't around the shop, Titongoni, the one more on the task.
So when we practice the deity, it begins with the development stage, the visualization. So in the verse it says, apply yourself earnestly in your body as the yidam. And so first when we practice the development stage, the first aspect of that is to visualize the form of the deity clearly. So the first aspect is clarity. And so then whatever empowerment you have received of whichever deity, you visualize this form again and again. So you look at the image of the deity, and then you close your eyes and have that image appear in your mind. And you repeat this again and again. So what arises then in your mind, what should arise in your mind is actually the qualities of the deity. qualities of all the deities are knowledge and love and power. And so with knowledge, the deity knows the minds of all sentient beings. It knows all of their thoughts and their wishes, their suffering, and so on. And with love, the deity loves all sentient beings just like a mother loves her child. And the quality of power is that you understand that if you practice the deity with bodhicitta, then that will have the power to lead to the attainment of enlightenment ultimately. So to understand the quality of bodhicitta really is to trust in karma. When you really understand the quality of bodhicitta, you develop this trusting faith, which is a trust in karma. We mentioned already about karma before. But it is through the mind of bodhicitta that you will ripen into the deity and perfect those different aspects of deity yoga, that is the clarity, purity, and stability. And so when you understand the deity's qualities, then you are developing lucid or clear faith. And when you understand the deity's power, then you develop a longing faith. And when you understand the the infallibility of karma and that there will be a result from your practice, you develop a trusting faith. And so with those three kinds of faith, you practice the deity. And then, for example, anytime you would see a tanka or any image of the deity, you would instantly think that this is the deity, this is very special. And so the nature of the deity is the three kayas, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. And the Sambhogakaya and the Dharmakaya are a union, and they are the scope of those individuals with pure karmas. The Sambhogakaya, for instance, appears in the form of the pure illusory body and is seen by those of pure karmas. And then for us, with impure karmas, there appears first the Nirmanakaya. And actually, all beings in the 6 realms are really Nirmanakayas. Nirmanakayas appear in many different ways. For example, there is the created Nirmanakaya, that is, for example, tankas, images, statues, and so on. Then there is the incarnated, the born Nirmanakaya, like the spiritual teachers, the gurus, and so on. And actually anyone in this world who brings about the benefit and happiness of sentient beings. And if such a person is a male, then we can say that he really is Chandrisic. And if that person is female, we can say that she is Tara. But actually, the body is not so important. There's not really a difference between male and female within the mind, within that mind of love that the deity has. Because what the deity really is bodhicitta. So if you practice a deity on the basis of bodhicitta, you are accomplishing the pure illusory body. And if you're practicing a deity lacking bodhicitta, then you are really accomplishing just an impure illusory body. And that is why Chigden Sumgön also had said the preliminaries are more profound than the main part practices. They are the most profound dharma. And the preliminary to all dharma practice is bodhicitta. So then even if you practice a deity, even if you practice a deity, but with an impure mind, lacking bodhicitta, and with a perception of a self, other duality, then you will only accomplish an impure illusory body. Then the mind, as it enters the form of the deity, might appear as the deity physically, but then still there is a concept of a self, and when a self is present, there will also be fear. And then you will accumulate karma and create more karmic imprints, and then there will be more suffering. And so when there is a dualistic perception of self and other, and this is what happens. But if you give rise to bodhicitta and you practice the deity without this grasping at a self-other duality, then you will accomplish the actual deity. So then with that as a basis, you visualize the deity clearly. And then what appears, the deity that appears, where does it really appear? When you close your eyes, sometimes it appears very clearly in your mind. So it's in your mind. And sometimes it seems that it appears in front of you. But actually, it's all really appearing in your own mind without any front and so on. And that's a point you will understand when there is no duality of self and other. And so then you practice this again and again. Your own mind is like a mirror wherein the deity is reflected. And you practice that until the deity always remains in your mind and there is no more ordinary perception. And until that is achieved, you practice the deity and you recite the deity's mantra. And so in the new tantric system, that is practiced by practicing the 4 classes of tantra. And in the old tantric system, we practice the 4 branches of approach and accomplishment. But basically, the reason why we have to recite many mantras is because we want to reach a point where the deity never leaves our mind, ever. And that happens in stages. So in the beginning, first, you must acquaint yourself with the deity. So you recognize the deity. And then next, it is like becoming friends with the deity. And then thirdly, you becoming very close friends, almost like siblings with the deity. And then in the end, in the 4th step, you are merging non-dually with the deity. You realize there's no actual separation between you and the deity. In the 4 classes of Tantra, in the new Tantric system, for example, in the Anuttara Yoga Tantra, the highest Yoga Tantra, that is where you realize that you are non-dual with the deity. And when you actually realize that, then you are transferring naturally into the state of the Dharmakaya. And when you see the deity like a companion, like a good friend, then you are accomplishing the Sambhogakaya of the deity. And if you just never separate from bodhicitta, then you will accomplish the Nirmanakaya. And then even if you take birth again in the human world, you will appear as a being that benefits sentient beings. And then finally will attain enlightenment. So there is those 3 levels of attaining enlightenment. But they all arise really from the quality of bodhicitta. And so now, the way in which we practice the deity, which level of practice we can actually really engage in, depends on our own mental capacity. That is either higher, middling, or lower.
Trinang gomni yami chepa karbe nipa nga korte sawo gom tapa kore nipa aso trin nga korte ta gom te lasa gom te nga korte sa korsiba ni zongde tri hatang nyam rasan chepa kortaba kore tri nyewani nipa aso trin nga ni wezer tezer kodi tri wezer trin ti nga ti sanchok sego oti yung ti shile tiri takwa shingam tsung chubali jo rogo yo wata sir dwar rogo semlo tiri dwar rogo simchi tamche dang zing le nang manang rogo di jang tiri sabche go tsangma tiri yuru samche kira simchi tamche le pengi yo bar do jang waze go pengi zi shila tiri dhruva asam tiri dhruchi shiba kani o simchi tamche le deshik dhubo yo re tiri lorin chagrom rogo chaade yo re 마도 섭지 탐지 전에 사기 군에 많이 봤죠. 매와 하코네. 그 데이터 하코나 되잖아. 되니 딱 루치인송 루치들이 나와 누가 딱봐 낭고요래 딱봐 낭제 때문에 고시인 거요래 배세다를 들이랑 semna 고도 대답을 제고요래
So then how we progress along the path of deity yoga practice is actually easily illustrated when we look at the 4 branches of approach and accomplishment. So this is like the levels of practice that we progress along as we continue to practice the deity. So the first of those 4 branches is called the approach. And so here in the approach, in the first step, we first begin to visualize the mantra garland of the deity until that becomes very stable and clear in our mind. And when that becomes stable and clear, we come to the next step, which is the close approach. So here you have a clear mantra garland already established. And then you begin to circulate this garland. It begins to turn. First it turns very slowly, and when that becomes familiar, then you accelerate, and then it begins to turn so fast that it cannot even be perceived visually, but it gives off a sound. And that's the second step then, the close approach. Then when that becomes stable, you come to the third step, which is the accomplishment. And here, then from the fast revolving mantra garland, then light rays are emanating and gathering back. And the light rays that are radiating here should be understood as being the light rays of bodhicitta. And when the light rays of bodhicitta radiate out into the Pure Lands, they turn into offerings there. And when they radiate into the 6 realms of samsara, then they illuminate the darkness of sentient beings there, and they purify the self-grasping and the karmic visions, the karmic appearances of sentient beings there. And then having purified the mind streams of sentient beings, then also they are infused with that love, this light of love, and love arises within their own mind streams. And in this way, the light rays have brought great benefit to sentient beings. So that's the third step, the accomplishment. And then when that is accomplished, you come to the fourth step, which is the great accomplishment. And here you realize that actually all beings possess Buddha nature, and only temporarily they appear like ice blocks. But their true nature is Buddha, and there are no real sentient beings actually. And when you realize that, you have accomplished a great accomplishment. And when you have accomplished a great accomplishment, then all appearances, everything that appears and exists in the universe and all beings appear in their pure nature. And you will see everything that you encounter as completely pure. So this is how we have to train and purify our own mind stream as we progress along those 4 stages. And those 4 stages of approach and accomplishment are actually directly related to the 4 classes of Tantra in the new Tantric system. So actually the meaning of both of these systems is the same.
가시게 따지는 데도 곰 두고 독살 곰에 갖고래 곰 시험 독살나 들 사들 때 빠세 주비 빠지 사가 용진지 신나 저리 안 돼발래봐요래 네바 소바 가르래 그래되나 다부 라텔라 다람진 하로 사지 고속 tan가라서 돌아 내가 소바 침보지 들으라고 좁고는 게더니 소바지요 깝들이들이 힘밖에 네팔에 레코요래 들사서 양장도 공원들이 남생 홍에서 일에서나 들사서 가지 제인 때문에 가지다 뒤에서 오하고도 이제 빠져 니콜라 들 일에서 들라래 제인 니 세마타들 들라지 참나 들 뒤리 바가들이 산이 바도 이발이 들이양 사지 뒤마서 세들라는 저쪽으로래 대감이 들이 like to shakari, flat young to the penna, mark you put out. Mark you pocket you slowly, castle pocket the Jia, maybe 17 good. So she said, "Tell la Drabara, Drake, the Jeremy of Gomashila, the basket left her. Did about the left word, the class semi Jia, Mevana, the class Tali watch high, sorry. The little lad, the Teochi, the Tarati, Genus of what he or Latin Chile, oh, Latin Cuba, Burgo, some. Latin Cuba, Latin Gagun, Simpkin, Peter, Latin Mirka, Lacron, Gangy, Cora, lost to the Western Car, 100 Javachi, Jacob, and Mossi Cuba, Majetically, so send the lace of which send the lace of which the Cuba Burgo. Lang near Gagon, the Simpkin, Pinta, the La Gagodot, Sajit of the Telegagodot, the Simpkin, Jichibotilla, the Drabate, the Tajo was simply the Sabbath and he shocked you, the Leo is just got to the Valley. Captain Italy was just to the old Tanga Sante, the Sabbath save me by 7 or the English was over century, Chaplin, doubling was on just about doubling the child, doubling the Apochago, some subject of them, Captain Italy, the king. Water was so good. The captain in Yanamore, the essential paint of you and you water. There is something in the rock watching it. There is Madame Zampotango Yore. The captain is down these days of some of that. Young Kerem go machina, like a tape, I chill at it, so I tell what you have your head.
So some people, they feel that I'm not able to. It's very difficult for me to visualize the deity. I just can't practice the development stage part of the deity. And so when that is difficult, then and you think that you can't do it, there's actually another method of really accomplishing the deity, and that's actually the essential method, and that is what's really most important is your single-pointed faith that you have in the deity, and that is based on knowing of the deity's qualities. And when that is very firm in your mind, then the power of practicing the deity can also be accomplished. And that is accomplished, for example, you practice a certain deity and recite that deity's mantra. And when that power is accomplished, then when you... In the beginning, actually, the first power that is accomplished is when you see the deity, when you see a tanka or any image of the deity, then immediately a very special feeling arises in you. Just like seeing a very dear friend, you feel a lot of love for the deity. And when you feel like that, then the quality, the power of the first step, the approach, has been accomplished. So that's kind of a like a signpost. You know, now I have accomplished the power of the approach. And so then you continue to habituate yourself to the deity day and night. And for example, every time you wake up from sleeping, you make it a habit to remember the deity or the deity's mantra. And if that is too much at that time, you can also just practice the Om Mahung, the Vajra recitation. And so if you're able to remember the deity the very moment you wake up from sleeping, then through the power of this, you will also be able to recall the deity after death in the second bardo. And if you're able to recall the deity at that point, then your mind will instantly transform into the deity. So you visualize the deity in that way. So you feel the presence of the deity within your mind, and it is what the presence of the deity in your mind is really this feeling of love that you have for the deity. For example, like the feeling of love that a mother has for her child. When her child leaves home and goes outside to work and so on, then the mother never forgets about the child. She always thinks of the child. And so that feeling is what's most important when we practice the deity. And so this is how we accomplish the deity. And so even if you think that you don't know how to visualize the form of the deity, if you have accomplished the love of the deity, that is, if the deity is always in your mind, it never leaves your mind, you have accomplished the same quality of the approach stage or the accomplishment stage. So you're coming very close to the deity. And a sign of accomplishing the deity is that the way it manifests on the outer level as a sign is that you feel great love and compassion for sentient beings. And that is very obvious on the outer level. And then also the activities are corresponding to that. So the deity's activities are, when the light rays radiate out, these are the deity's activities. So now when we make offerings to the deity, for example, we think that we want to make an offering to the deity because we want to please the deity. But actually, what pleases the deity is if we engage in activities that benefit sentient beings. The deity actually has no difficulty, doesn't really need anything. The deity already dwells in the Sambhogakaya Pure Land that is naturally established, just like a very powerful kingdom. So the deity has no actual need for our offering, but the reason why we make these offerings is in order to purify those karmic imprints of greed or stinginess. And so, in any case, if we want to please the deity, the best way to please the Buddhas is to benefit sentient beings. And when you benefit sentient beings with a genuine sense of compassion, then that is really a sign of having accomplished the deity. And that is the accomplishment of the deity. And that accomplishment is very close already to the great accomplishment. So in the accomplishment stage, that is the stage where you radiate out light rays and you gather them back. When real love has arisen, as mentioned before, then you have actually accomplished the qualities of the accomplishment stage, the third step. And so basically it is when in your mind there's this ongoing state of immeasurable love. For example, you feel, may everyone in this world be well and happy. May all sentient beings be happy. So then when you think in this way, then your mind naturally pervades this entire world and all beings. And this state of mind is where the great accomplishment, the fourth steps, actually begins. So the first, you step into this great accomplishment phase when this state of boundless love has arisen and it always remains. And another sign of it always being there is also reflected in your dreams. Then even in your dreams, you will engage in beneficial activities that benefit sentient beings. You will feel love and compassion in your dreams, and you will want to help others and so on. You will have positive dreams. So these are all signs of self-grasping, having become diminished. So therefore, if you think that it is very difficult for me to visualize the deity in the development stage, then you can develop the same qualities of the deity yoga practice through faith and the feeling that is actually supposed to be generated in those four steps.
Chesi Jomano, Joramson, Joram Shibati Yanti, Mijila, Tambuchilian, Padon Chiliore, the Chavan, Nitara Charamato, the Shoki, Churchian Yore, Goda and Nikol Pasha Yore, surely the same people, Madola, the Yangi say, on my table, Chawa, the Niji Chua, and Vitali, Nilitary Joramson. The Joram, the Soda Chibo Kongri, Saru Jictin the Yantri. 차, 네, 잭섬데, 다 대기요 말이, 당보 차, 바로 네, 이만 탈란 저도 그래. 고발을 막고 터도 그래. 나무 까마탑지, 저쪽 턱자로 탈란 저 차차를 터도 그래. 오, 사관데 내가 말해, 들 샘플로 장을. 근데 남주 새끼를 차잖아들이 저와보다 양자도 그래. 제가 근데 이 말을 들이 제시니 냠도 제거 원다 시원하와. Shawari, Chowa was needed. Your choice, okay, answer, Belle, Banagi, Chucker, taste of your utility, taste of the young Jonathan, Uli, Sunday, Mupon, Simbakan, Zinjameva, or said the Uli subject of J. Tam Matapa Hakon, there's a cool young Mori, there is a top water jetty, and I'm shake to your Zinjameva Chucker, Jerry, Jordan of Jera. 대로 마보시라 되냐 고바 쳔보 요래데
Now, so about the development stage in the deity yoga practice, there's so many commentaries and teachings. Many people like to read a lot of books about those. And so why is it not necessary that there is this large body of teachings on the deity yoga practices? The purpose of the visualization first, the development stage, is that now due to the force of karma, and depending on our karma, there are 4 ways in which we can take birth. We can take birth through a womb, an egg, miraculously, or through heat combined with moisture. And in order to purify these 4 existences of birth, ways in which one can take birth, there are 4 corresponding kinds of development stage or visualization practices. So if through the force of karma one is to take birth again, then through the development stage we are purifying this kind of way of taking birth. And corresponding to that, there are extensive or more concise kinds of development stages. The most extensive kind of development stage that purifies the taking birth through a womb, for example. For example, like human beings take birth through a womb. And for that, there are more extensive visualizations or development stages. And then there is the egg birth, and there is the birth through heat and moisture, and then the miraculous birth. So gradually we purify through the different kinds of development stages, the different kinds of ways in which we can take birth. And then the completion stage practices, the completion stage is for the purpose of purifying the way in which we die. And so when we die, we move on to the bardo. And actually, falling asleep and dying are exactly the same thing. They only differ in subtlety. But aside from that, they are exactly the same. So in that sense, actually, every morning when you wake up, you are actually taking birth in a subtle way. And every evening when you go to sleep, you are dying in a subtle way. It is just that for as long as the karma for this life is not yet completed, you're going to wake up again the next morning. And so actually sometimes it also happens that like people like even die in their sleep and so on. And so now, in any case, the point of the completion stage is that now the outer universe that appears is actually not so stable the way it appears. it goes basically through 3 phases. First, it comes into being, then it stays for some time, and in the end, it disintegrates into just dust or ashes. And actually, each and every night we can, when we look at the stars, actually we can also think that each and every day, all the time actually, planets and stars are disintegrating. Some of them are colliding with each other and then are disintegrating. And so when you understand this, then also you will know that this planet, our world, will also not remain. And that also will make your mind be much more relaxed. And then again, we also have to remember the impermanence of the inner sentient beings again and again. And so we should do that each and every day, in the morning and at night, and also remembering that the waking up and falling asleep are exactly the same in essence as being born and again dying. So in that you train continuously over and over again until a certainty arises in your mind that this is how it actually is. And when that certainty arises, then what disappears at this point is your fixation to the reality of this life. And it really begins with understanding that everything is impermanent. That will make your mind so much lighter. And then naturally the thoughts that arise, you will be able to release them without clinging to them. So that's the significance, the reason on why we are studying and reading many books on the development and the completion stages.
then Zamberling Chumek Chungsung Nimari Shadegos. Be named the Laka Tranmiba. Simply Tranga Yabagatri Lakoyores. Bena Jetty Drobagon simply Tranga Yabatri. Soaked in a kitchen, left to your Bena. The Tondago same decision over the Lato or your sons of some means with lot of the Sad, Dujuga Slatan, Dukin Rania, Dania, Javayore, so Danzi to Rimato, some decision botingly, Slata, Jawacha, the winner, the Yam the Durango Slatic, Drama, Slatamchi, round to Pachade or is the Shivatan. You are Loma of the Yam that such a girl, Numagalo, Kang Yami Chena, Sla Sun Yami Chena, Wati. Zokakar, same lot of the wine, they should have a carchivore. They machine it in the Kakar on 3 Stibasla, Sara Juba Chardo, the Haja Jung Chivore. She got so they Chivore. They chillately, then last certain Kanoba Kare Lona Chepar Meva. Ragans just like it, that's some Koshi Chana Pen. They chillately. This last cousin treats of Gore, rather like it. The Kangi Katu Chena Pena, also Boba Chechi Chimbo here, Kangi. Kangi did Lava get to Lavoli. Theatre of Clinton, the Sunny Chogan, Jahan Relation, and Jananga Tablet and Lad Clinton. The Nation Shadi Chaka Yori, Jobia Tokoyori, Captain, the Nerokatan Young Tokoyori, Kangi dinner. Tata, so. 강에 동에서 레기 연구요래 레드가 나디 토라요래 갑자기 사지 나디 요마 다고 또 많이 예배나 사지 뒤에 사고니 좀 두고요래 괜찮나 대 하적 기체 보요래 진짜들이 양대 저 가사오 제거래 대지들이 저러라 소리 매봐 라라 제발 매봐 드니 대 차요거리 사지 받치는 거요래.
So there's one very important point that we really need to understand when we practice a deity. That's really actually the most important point. we need to be very clear on the difference between a wisdom being and a worldly being. The deity is a wisdom being, and it is said that within the expanse of primordial awareness, all the Buddhas are one. And for example, in the Tantra of the union of the sun and moon, it says that there is one sun in the sky, and that is reflected in countless like springs or like puddles of water in the entire world. So a limitless number of deities appears, but actually that is just the appearance reflected in those pools of water. Actually, it is like the deity itself is like the sun in the sky. There's one deity that is reflected in all these different vessels. So there are as many deities as there are sentient beings. For example, Tara, whoever thinks of Tara, she will appear to them in an instant. And from an ultimate perspective, actually, our own Buddha nature is, in fact, the deity, and it ripens if we give rise to bodhicitta. So if you practice the deity, this is how you can understand the connection between yourself, the practitioner, and the deity that you're practicing. You are already one with the deity on the basis of Buddha nature. Just for now, you are obscured by that grasping at a self. But in Buddha nature, you are the same. So if you practice one deity like that, it is like you are accomplishing or practicing all the deities at the same time. So that's really very important to understand. And then secondly, the second point that's important is that often many disciples come together to practice, and then you might practice any deity according to any lineage, like the Sakya, Gelugpa, Nyingma, Kagyu, and so on. And no matter which deity you practice, they all have a single mind, even though they appear differently. And that is very important to understand, because if you don't understand that, and if you think that the deities are all separate individuals or entities, then you are making the mistake of making like a worldly god out of the deity. So what really makes the deity is the way you see it, your own state of mind. And so if you know how to practice the deity, you understand that the deities are all actually one. So it's important that you're able to remember one deity all the time. And that's really important, because then you will also be able to remember the deity in the face of difficulties. And that's actually one very good quality that the Tibetans have. They have this habit that whenever they have a difficulty, they instantly cry out for Tara, for example. And that's very important. Whenever you experience fear, and also in the face of death, instead of thinking about that, you think of the deity. And if you're able to do that, then the deity can actually be there to protect you. And from the ultimate perspective, even more so. So all the difficulties that you encounter arise due to karma, and karma arises due to that belief in a self. And the moment you think of the deity, you are not thinking of that self. So the self has become empty. And then if you're able to remember the deity can actually protect you. So that's extremely important, and because it's so important, it's necessary to make this point clear really over and over again. Because if that point is clear, then you will first of all be free of any bias towards different lineages and so on, or practices. And also you will understand that the deities themselves are not different from each other.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Sorang, the Teta Tatu Chokoyore, Jinatoyo Mari. The Pardon somebody song, Major Chivari, the Jerem, 다대양들이 라마 교신이 지와리 토고요리 선진 선들 팽고 상변나 그래서 지와리 법감이다가 다 제름인데 되는 용고요리 제름 고소로 랑거 박차라 되네 레게 들이 파마 들어와시면 통나 들이들 다들 박차들이 처바지에 다듯이 라사지 처바 삼종들이 이게 홍이 샘진 핑고 우선 들이 이게 홍이 줬더니 오늘 조금 돼서 조금 삼지 되는 정도요래 들이 주시에서 뭐 사죽색이 사오는데 주의도 그렇다고요래 대부분은 삼말 봤다면 들이랑 그 레가 강지 아니거나 랑 제네지 하자 이동하도록 나와 샤네들이잖아 상황이 봐 속성은 들이 지왕직을 유모버지 신도들이 저렇게 참도고요 뒤치받치고 그래 너무 하자 치고래 저라는 것들이 따라하고 터고요 그래서 뒤에서 다 이상하게 게름들 내신도 없이 봐야 돼 들이 봐도 니보다서 바깥으로 들어서 되는 거제 랑그 택을 해지
So at the end of each of those 5 verses in the Fivefold Path, it says, apply yourself earnestly or make an effort in, for example, practicing the Yidam deity. And this term here, apply yourself earnestly, that means that until the fruition is attained, you have to make an effort. You have to make an effort in the practice of the Yidam deity, for example. And we already mentioned that before, that when every time you wake up from sleeping, for example, remember Chenrezig, or immediately wake up and you say Om Mani Padme Hum, and then in an instant recall Chenrezig. And if you're able to remember Chenrezig that very moment of waking up, then also you will be able to remember Chenrezig in the second bardo. And if you are, then with complete certainty, you will then actually go to his Pure Land. We always speak about going to Pure Lands. And that is when you actually then will proceed to that Pure Land. The mind becomes Chenrezig. It ripens into that flower of Chenrezig. So think of that in the moment you wake up. Now, normally, we wake up and first we have thoughts like, I have slept, or now I'm waking up, and things like that. And then after a few thoughts like that, then finally we think about Om Mani Padme Hum or Chenrezig. And if that is the case, then you will only be able to attain enlightenment in the third bardo as a Nirmana Kaya. And there's a big difference here. So whether you will attain that in the second or the third bardo, you have to see for yourself. And there's actually no need to ask anyone questions about that. You can clearly see that for yourself, where you are at. And even if it is the third bardo, still there is a way to benefit sentient beings. When you take birth in the human world, for example, then you take birth having practiced the development stage in the deity yoga, but not remembering it right away. If you take birth in the human world, that is Nirmana Kaya in the third bardo, then you might take birth as a guru or a spiritual teacher that is able to benefit sentient beings. So, and that comes from this motivation of, may I benefit all sentient beings, that we always give rise to. And so this is then the result of that. And now in the bardo then, normally when the consciousness is in the bardo, then due to the ordinary habitual imprints in the mind, one comes into the presence of those parents that one is karmically connected to, and one sees them in union. And just like now, we have that habit that when we see a couple in union, then desire arises. And how we can train in that now is that when that desire arises, then we instantly stop that thought of desire and exchange it for Hong. First of all, a wish to benefit sentient beings, and then that wish becomes the syllable Hong. And from this is where the qualities of the Nirmanakaya arise from. And then you are born as a Nirmanakaya that brings with one the continuum or the seed of bodhicitta, and then is able to teach the Dharma to others and so on. And then an ordinary being is different. If one is ordinary and one is driven by the force of karma and is to take birth again, then naturally one perceives one's future place of birth as something desirable. One is drawn there. So that birthplace appears as something desirable. And because of that, without any self-control, you naturally enter in that place. And this lack of self-control comes from the habit of being controlled by the afflictive emotions. And these are what cause you then to wander in the 6 realms of samsara. So that is a very, very crucial instruction. And so there's a very big difference in terms of what kind of state of mind we are in. And which, wherever you are at, is something that you can only see for yourself. But anyways, that is what is meant with this term here, apply yourself earnestly and make an effort. And making an effort, then you can see for yourself, in this context of the Yidam deity, where you are at in your own practice. Now, whether you are going to recognize the deity in the 2nd bardo or in the 3rd bardo. So then the next point is the practice of Guru devotion. And also here, actually, Khenpo Sherab again clarified some points. And so we say that, normally we say that the root of blessings is Guru devotion. And so in order to basically receive the blessings, we need devotion. But so when we just hear that, then it seems that it's not so clear actually what that actually means. And so Khenpo Sherab really clarified that. And so he said that to develop guru devotion to acquire the qualities of the guru, and that's really very meaningful. And so now, not even talking about Dharma gurus, Dharma teachers, there's also worldly teachers. And for example, now we have found the precious human body, but in a worldly sense now, if we do not learn anything, if we do not acquire any quality from a teacher, we are much like animals. And it is due to the force of karma from previous lives that one then lacks this level of intelligence or insight in one's mind. And also it is because one has not really practiced or trained or learned anything in previous lives. And then in this life, even though you have found a precious human body, you cannot actually utilize the quality that you could actually have as a precious human being. And then even though you look like a human, your actions are more like that of an animal. And that is because we lack sufficient wisdom or insight. And so nowadays, it is also through our worldly teachers, science teachers and so on, that this outer world is developing, improving on the external level, on the material level. And that is also already very precious. So the teachers of the worldly tradition are already very precious. But then they can only help us acquire qualities to achieve well-being to a certain extent on the outer level. We might achieve some external material happiness or pleasures, but that usually does not actually create inner peace of mind. And in fact, it even increases our thoughts of hope and fear and so on. So if one wishes to attain true inner peace and freedom temporarily by taking birth in the higher realms and ultimately by attaining enlightenment, it is necessary that one looks inward and tames one's own mind. Otherwise, that cannot be achieved. And that means that we need to understand karma and the twofold truth. And for this reason, the spiritual teacher that teaches us the true Dharma is really extremely precious. That teacher is like the eyes to the blind, or like the heart to the heartless. And it is these qualities of a teacher that we then acquire if we develop devotion to those qualities. So the essence of those qualities, that is how to get those qualities, is through guru devotion. So these words are also very profound, and of course they could be elaborated upon much more extensively, but that's really the essence, and that's very important.
Denita lama go yi kang le las lama go je de lama de jana lama da da zu ni men tong de go zhe ge le zhe ge de na ni gang le pa de zu ji men ga so ji ba le yi na de ko men le ma le chen de shang ge le ga shi chen de ji ba be le ja wa sam ji ji ma na me su po ji ge kha sa go ji ba ji dang de je ba dan chale sem카카리 톱카카리 데이터가 되는 오 미인데 미치바 말이지 되는 오 라마데 송로 그저 거지 거지 송로 거들었더니 로거들었다 다다 사촉 sem기 답지 유메도 사오저데 이 사촉세도 틀리데 라게 미용나 들이다 사지지 감로 주도 그 생활 놓고 다 죽고 유진 삼질라면送人 주고요. 들이다고 사족스 맞기와 탑로도 넘버 이제 들이 재미 이제 들이 정하고 제름 들이 용지라서 사지 送人 주고요. 들이送놓고 좀 거지. 送놓고 이걸 거려 오 신감 장미 발 라마 텐도래 그들이 참 보고 그러지요. 아 배자치 보래 다들 강이 하고 오 기자 송나지를 하고도 라면 송거들이 다 사족되고 요시에오나 야 다그 적디 메이나 샘데다 샘요디 칼시에고도 송로고 다 물레레스 어디로 로고인데 시에바사 많이 봐 소소게 되다고 나서는 소소메도 사우다 미지요 봐 소소랑 라면 죽고서 라면 샘요 찍어야 봐 내가 소탐들 미지요 봐 공투부시를 많이 봐 밑에 봐 대사와 되게 소로 그저 거지 로고 되면 톡 죽어야 되나 되게 가래 그 미용을 되나 되게 무슨 나기 니들이 차다 모성 그 레사가 요래 뭐 보통 치마를 시네 라면 톡도 상지 톡 죽어야 되나 죽어를 샘도 남과다 나기 니를 하고 그랬지 대 하고는 된 남께 가차로 띠용 삼질 차비요 그랬지 톡 죽어 되는 그 가야가 차오른다 무슨 니디도 가서 니디 요네서 나기니 너도 차도 가지 오늘 라면 샘도 나기 생고는 내놓으면 되라 나기 님에 샘 나왔다 버티 밥 사지쳐 보고 오늘 때때로 바로 샘 님에 오다 적니 적 장매 봐면 적 가세 망는 거니 감성진도 감성 적이 감 가세 망고시나 샘고 제직 봐도 여버리 대양 동반이래 때때는 보고 동담고 내봤지나 밥에 이래서 톡 죽어지 톡 죽었더니 죽었더니 로고 인정고요 맞도 봤으면 제탑을 저거 대답을 들고 소속은 앞서는 소식했다 샘고 내로 이 하고서는 샘고 내 땅들을 니지 다음에 하고 소속을 대답 미지고 대서 들고 오니까서 라말 것은 사고요 꽃죽거리 송롱거리 톡 죽거리 했지 내 롱거다 죽어지 송제리 대 다부차리 죽거들 다 마다니가 냠대요래 가래 딸로 막아서 냠대요래 이한테 냠대요 봤을 때 그래서 딱 죽고 쫄든 노알도 뭐 다도 냐와야 다도 올라서 뭐 하자 동에 카차와탑지 그래서 샘 대신이 뭐데 요래시 내가 너무 벌어서 직디서 뭐 송나지 좀되게 라서 그래시 세상에 라서 냐와 세라서 야다 도목라서 들어 대리면 어떤 차도데 뭐디 쳐야만 내가 차롱라고 차송세 대 하고는 들 죽거지 니도 로알도 생기 하자 냠탁반 통내야 은혜 말이지 고소 레기지 박차 도소는 차롱라고 되셨으나 다 사지 봐도 없이 대답들이 하고 동동 거야 때렸더니 사지 좀 뒤지게 심기 남는 상기니 온자 로버트 메드랩스 사지가 롱티 semnazona o sepji tamche sangji unjo lobo tuma karere nang choti da ngaonya ba deres o sepe yan chawrom re jamsin nang chawrom ro cha so sepe chawrom re nang pe da di deres da di de sowa de ngo de chap dam 또 마득 봐 대아우를 찍차 대찍 담 능을 대찍 나 양자 담더니 야 차차차 담네 그 자공로 오늘 차도 가지는 했더니 뭐또 무수바 너는 주바미가 야 측도서 고나야 동가요면 랍작 코로랑 고도치고랑 빼세도 소화돼서 요아 들이 세동이 몰라 들이 무마고 봐야 돼 누구 차오장들이 라고 차다가 똑바로 받기는 이렇게 이양장양도 차로 차가도 어떻게 차로 차송하지 딱 저상 속셈을 이피를 놓을 차로 쉬져요 하고는 들은 거 이제 거기서도 또야요와甚至 잠시를 대식이 보여와 대상 속셈은 제나 들이 사지 터지요 하고는 들이 뭐 이거서 그 위에
So then for the guru, the devotion in the root verse, it says, unless the sun of devotion shines upon the snow mountain of the guru's four kayas, the current of blessings will not emerge. Now, the guru that appears to us, the Nirmanakaya form, appears as a human being, and so he appears in the same way as we appear. But he is not a real human actually, because his mind is the Buddha. For example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama appears as a human being. For example, he eats food like we do, but then he's still not the same, because his activities and the power of his mind are very different. So that his form that appears to us is the Nirmanakaya. And then his speech, the Guru's speech, is said to be the Sambhogakaya. The speech is the Sambhogakaya because we are introduced to the qualities of bodhicitta through the Guru's instructions. And we learn that if sentient beings' mind, which is like a seed, develops bodhicitta, then their mind can ripen like a flower, ripen into the pure lands of the Sambhogakayas and achieve all the qualities of a Dharmakaya. So all of that we learn from the instructions that we receive from the Guru. And that is how the Guru's speech is the Sambhogakaya. The Guru, for example, tells us that the method to give rise to bodhicitta, where it has not yet arisen, is the reflection on the four thoughts that turn the mind. And then he stresses the importance of the four immeasurables, and he teaches us how to practice the deity yoga of the secret mantra and so on. So all of these qualities, all of these teachings come from the Guru's speech. So, for example, like the qualities of the deity. And that is why his speech is Sambhogakaya. And then we say that the Guru, his mind, where those qualities are fully matured, has then control over over limitless pure lands of various deities. So when that comes up in your mind, there is this sensation of just vastness. It's just incredible. And all of this we understand only because the Guru has told us about it. So the Guru appears as a human being, but then what he explains to us are the qualities of the mind. So when you really think about it, the Guru's speech really is the Sambhogakaya. And then once you know that, you also know that if I practice according to the instructions, I can actually ripen. And ultimately, my body and my mind is the same as the Guru's body and mind. We can all ripen. And we ripen if we practice the instructions. Then the Guru's mind is the Dharmakaya. And so then what happens when the mind has ripened? So now we have a perception of, a dualistic perception of self and other. And due to that, we accumulate much karma driven by the afflictive emotions of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. And we have a very solid belief in substantial reality, the way things appear to us, in an inherent existence. And so the Guru's mind is the Buddha, the Dharmakaya, which is like space. And within space, there is no duality of self and other. This space-like nature pervades everything, the entire animate, sentient beings and inanimate universe. Everything is pervaded by the Dharmakaya mind. And we do not experience that because we perceive a dualistic existence. And this perception of self and other is what makes the mind become very solidified, like a block of ice, like a solid, small entity, an individual. And the Guru's mind, the Guru has realized how things really are, that there is no division between self and other, that the mind is like space, and that there is only a diversity, a duality, seemingly so in terms of bodies. But no matter how many there are, they all come from a single basis. For example, we speak about the 3 planes of samsaric existence, the 3 realms, the desire realm, form realm, formless realm, and it just seems infinite. And all of it arises from this single ground that is the mind itself, and that itself is also empty of self-nature. So the Guru had realized the truth of things. His mind is the Dharmakaya. And from this Dharmakaya quality arise the qualities of the Sambhogakaya and also the Nirmanakaya for the benefit of sentient beings. And so then when you practice on that, then when you practice the instructions of the Guru and the nature of the mind and that there is no duality, then you realize that all of these qualities of the Guru's mind are actually present within your own mind. So you realize that self and other are not separate, and you understand that you can fully ripen into the nature of the Guru's mind. So basically, when you realize that all of these qualities of the 3 kayas are complete within your own mind, that is when you have actualized the 4th kaya, which is the Svabhavika kaya, or the essence kaya. So the Guru's body is the Nirmanakaya, the speech the Sambhogakaya, and the mind is the Nirmanakaya. The Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya are a union, and they are the pure aspect. And the Nirmanakaya appears in both pure and impure forms. For example, in a pure form, he appears as someone like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And this term, Nirmana, actually, it means emanation, and emanation is something that appears in a certain way, but that's not what it really is. So, for example, there is the emanation, the appearance of the 6 realms of samsara, especially in the 3 lower realms, in the hells, hungry spirits, and animal realms. The suffering is very intense, but still, the beings living there all possess Buddha nature, and only temporarily those kinds of existences they manifest to them as the natural manifestation of their own afflictive emotions. As Thigten Somgön had said, it is all the manifestation of one's own karma. So, for example, hell is the manifestation of hatred, and the hungry spirit realm, the manifestation of stinginess, and the animal realm, the manifestation of ignorance. The essence from which it all arises from, that is Buddha nature, is like pure water, and only temporarily beings have become like ice blocks. So this is how we also understand the nature of the Nirmanakaya. And so then, now even though sentient beings do experience a lot of suffering in the 6 realms of samsara, that is not what they really are. So there are no real inherently existing sentient beings. And it is only a temporary appearance that arises due to the karmic imprints in their minds. And when that comes to an end, when the ice block melts, then all there is their own mind, which is the Buddha, and nothing else. So the Buddha himself had said, all sentient beings are actually Buddhas. They are only obscured by adventitious stains. So that's a quote by the Buddha, and that is good to memorize, actually. So what are those adventitious stains? You can see them when you look at your own mind. It is that concept of an I, a self that exists. And an outer example of that is an ice block floating in water. So when you look at the essence of it, the nature of this I, when it arises, then the feeling of it is of one of a contraction. You're bound up, tied up into this bundle, solidified entity. And we can see how that really happens, that whenever something undesirable comes your way, you feel solidified, really tight. And then you are tied up again and again and again, and you become increasingly contracted. You turn into this bound up bundle, which is this entity of I. And so that is then this ice-like nature. You really become like an ice block. And being like an ice block, any kind of problem is experienced as intolerable. It is unbearable suffering. For example, if someone insults you, even if it's completely baseless actually and meaningless, still immediately you get very angry at that person. And there's no need to mention that we suffer greatly from real outer difficulties, like outer circumstances. But even the slightest problem that doesn't actually really exist, we make it, we bring it into existence with our fixations, and then develop very coarse emotions of attachment and hatred. And over again, the mind is bound up further. So it becomes solidified like this ice block. But it can be melted. It can be melted if you develop the heat of altruism. And so if you know that, then you recognize that all beings, they really have that potential. Because sentient beings possess Buddha nature, if they develop bodhicitta, they can attain enlightenment, because all of these enlightened qualities of the three kayas are in their seeds already present within their minds. And so one who realizes that then accomplishes the fourth kaya, the svabhavika kaya. So that is what is meant here with the four kayas of the Guru.
그것은 때 상제가 요지 상제를 창거 요래 그 유자들이 되는 소소한 것을 하고 거래 오 소소들이 빼는 매도 첨보도 기 근데 매도디 사지 것을 상제가 용띠래 했지 어다그 유자들이 성도 소소를 요래 매도 제가 성 잡타만 보여래 이 고아처럼 소소로 가리래 샘 가리래 때나 동양요 말이에요. 나오냐 말들이지. 나오냐 뭐 하고도 그래요. 하고 해요. 뭐 나오냐 뭐 동양요 말이. 대근이지 나오냐 뭐 맛이나 제일 끼위 뉴모 방식 있고요 말이. 대회들이다 책도 뭐 차로요. 아, 습지답지 대화다 대인도 가그라 봤다마도 대 무슨 말은 뭐지 라마치게 대체 못해 말해. 드니 미치게 라마나 나 세군대로 하고고요. 라마치기 지난 나오냐 봤다다 거소지. 나오냐 봐 하고도 돼. 나오냐 봐 토야면도 다창 뜨고 남만한 거는 나오냐 봐도 술이 쭉 나오냐 봐도 거소지. 나오냐 봐도 막 톱을 샘피셔야요 말이지. 그 남공 삼모 땅 삼모 나짠 토야요 말이야. 남라디 약자용 나 톱성은 톱 마서 오늘 키랑 내가 가르치 나 주요 어디리 다 하고 그래. 사주를 뛰다 레벨 그래. 끼들은 처리된 거 아니야. 우리 저도 나한테 요 말이 딱 나오냐 봐. 뒤진치에 몇 봤더니 뒤진들 레고 그래. 야, 이도 엄마 여기들 나한테 고 나한테 좀 보도 이도 뭐 나한테 약보면 독설을 때 나를 받은 것이나 이 대를 뛰니 딱히 장이 와대 하고 나이도 받을 제요래 대 하고 거래 송대 나이도 받참에 하고 또에아 되는 뭐니 것이 받은 나래 소소 나오냐 받지 자디요래 나오냐 받지 자디요래 나오냐 받지 나가지 이지고 오 습지 상제 파트 나지 일파 나지 저거 요래
So the three kayas are a quality of the Buddha, and the fourth kaya is that when you recognize that all of these qualities are actually complete within you, that's the fourth kaya. And so it is like the the flower is the quality of the 3 kayas. And the 4th kaya is like that seed that you already have. And so it is like one flower actually produces hundreds of different seeds. And so where can we find it? It is the mind. And so then what is the mind actually? When you look at the mind, you cannot see it. It is this notion of I, this sense of an I, an existing I. It's something that you can't really know because you cannot see it, but you have to recognize it. Because if you do not recognize this I, then you will also not be able to recognize all the afflictive emotions that come from that I. And then all your compassionate words are really empty words. For example, we say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, but these are then just become like empty words. There is this one story of a student who asked his guru to give him instructions on the nature of mind. And then that guru said that those instructions, you have to give me your I. And then he said, he sent him home and he said that, go look for this I the whole night. And if it takes you until the morning, then it takes you until the morning. But don't come back without that I. Because without that I, if you don't bring me that I can't give you those instructions. So then the disciple was thinking about that all night long, and he just couldn't find that I. So anyways, he returned in the morning, and the teacher asked him, so where is the I? And the disciple said, I really couldn't find it. It is not there. And then the teacher said, so then what are you doing here? And the disciple said, well, I'm still here to receive Dharma teachings. And then the teacher said, that's it. You are here to receive Dharma teachings. I am here to receive Dharma teachings. Now you see the I. So it's that I that engages in all these activities. It always comes up, no matter what we do. When we run into different kind of situations, the I is always right there. It's always there continuously, actually. For example, when you encounter a very attractive object, then that I thinks that I need that, I want that. And then if the object is unpleasant, then you think, I don't want that. So it is that grasping, this thought of I, that you have to first recognize. And then you recognize it due to various conditions that you encounter and that the I then labels as good or bad. So due to these conditions trigger this concept of an I want this, I don't want that, for example. So first, that is what we need to understand. So now we have to recognize this thought of I. And now, currently, that is the Svabhavika Kaya. The essence Kaya now is in disguise of the I. This concept of I is actually the essence Kaya, but we don't recognize it. And so that is why we have to clearly have a clear look at it. And if we don't look clearly, then constantly we're thinking I, or me all the time. So a skillful means to look away from it in a way to not fixate on this idea that there is an I, is to think about others.
Yang jala hajang za chibozi, rang deng chibo jala za chibozi na. Tere tini tangang chibozi, jala za chibozi ya. Jala za chibozi na, te chil longzhu ji kunzhu sang, ten jala dandari yang na, te chi, oh ting giri lago yori, oh nga lepso, tere tini ting nga chibozi ki. 서로 열고 참아 나중 강바디 뇨차나 능 강바리시 람자 대지니 대야요 말아 그 강바들이 지금 누바다 딱 컨트롤한 거 능 강바를 도시송 베오 제라지니 땅 아주 저래 나라 지니 시장인 거도 나라 지니도 차인 거 다시 뉴모가 깨워 그러지 나시바래 그도 대하고 대 나오냐 바들이 오 다시 나오냐 바들이 이는 pom프래 들 라마치 오다 라마 교신이지 데르고 가와 그 바용들이 라마 교신이 요진치 들은 코바 동에 지지들이 라마 고초 섬거들이 라마 다시 보래지 라마도 사제지 강제 봤다도 사제기 요진치들이 라마도 사제지 사사치 보래지 오대 사제 다치 보래지 오늘 사제 그 치보 랍담데 요 사제 송보다 잡차만 보요나요 진짜 하고 또 말이 사제 그 용진서 하고 또 말이 라마 개신이 그 사제 송지 도네 그 사제 용진 하고를 그 사제 거 소화다 하선 선 초월lep도 거든 오다 사제도 못 찍발 사제를 라마 사치 버리지 개신이 그 초성근은 개신 사치 버리지 개신보 참았더니 개신이래 되는 잡을는 것들이 개신이 개신 삼지 사치 버리 삼sem나 라메용나 다 무바지 다음에 받지요. 서마 세문제 와차고 교신이 sab지라. 대 니만하지. 들라고 교신이 가래나 기긴 탐시 짜쳐 보이요 하고는 들라고 교신이 있을 때 lak발 저성 제말지 어디게 자세 니트바 차용거래들이 뭐지. 그지는 사실 가르치실 때 랑 덥고 로로리. 내가 피바 하고는 랑 피바도 얘를 대화자들이 무바지나 소소 동네를 탈거나 따뜻한 고초선을 뛴 거래지. 그때는 까나지 사 교신이 까나지 더 무그지. 됐다고 이제는 교신이 이제 송투제도 초라 말로와 들라마가 송탑제다 보자 덕고요. 토마르 레전드다 보자 신구요래. 오 레전드랬더니 내가 동네를 나도 쳤다봐. 다소 대비 줬다 봐대 문이지 교신이 가지고 선들 교신이 참아들이 그냥 타관들이 선 돌아와래 우리 뒤까지 뭐지요래 될 뭐지 대신에 들이다 달 교신이 용띠 가래나 주 레토고 요래지 가래서 레토고 교신이 이제 생구 윤 당고치니 찍발이지 윤이 봐도 참 나야지 봐 요래 이렇게 나에서 봤더니 저는 고잡당녀리 다주 기기 제일 그 봐요. 다 뭐 고쳐가는 게 있으니 기기 샘을랑 기기 샘을 찾기요래. 들이지 다른 거 도저히 왔긴 되나? 그 선지 도저히 그냥 뛰어가 고쳐요. 비슷하게 도다 도는 이제 돈 잡지 치모는 거요래. 들이지를 먹으려고 요래. 되게 만나지래.
And for example, another way to recognize, to identify this I is, for example, if you have some kind of object that you love very much, that you think is very precious, then based on that, you can clearly identify that I, because then you're worried that it might fall down and break, or that someone will take it away from you. Or if I put it there, and someone could take it, then immediately you feel that's mine. So the I has already arisen. So you can recognize this concept of the I in those moments when it is related to an object that we consider very precious. For example, you buy a house, then the moment you bought it and it's yours, you think it's my house. So you think that momentarily it's my house. And then the next moment, you think about something else, that thought is gone. But then, when someone, for example, throws a rock, like a stone at your house, like damages your house, immediately the I comes back and you get angry. And so this is how you can recognize this I, this feeling that arises then, when the I is triggered. And then based on this I, because of this concept of me, you develop those thoughts of hatred, of anger, of desire. So all of these afflictions arise out of this concept of I. So that I diminishes when we turn away from it and we look at others. And here we remember the qualities of the Guru. We develop respect to the Guru when we remember his qualities. So now, when we think about the qualities of the Guru and the qualities of the three jewels, which are very precious, but then now what's actually to us personally, what is more precious? Is it the quality, is it the Guru, or is it the Buddha himself? Actually, it is the Guru, because if we see a Buddha image that we think might be very precious, it might be as large as a mountain. You might have a very large statue, or maybe you are buying hundreds of scriptures of the Buddha's words. It is good because you know it's precious, but still you don't really know any of its meaning at all. You don't really understand the qualities of that Buddha or of those scriptures. The only way for you to know about these qualities is through the instructions that you receive from the Guru. And that is why the Guru is really most precious. And then once you have understood the qualities of the Buddhas based on the Guru's instructions, then when you see an image or a statue of a Buddha, then immediately a very strong feeling can arise. Therefore, for this reason, the Guru is said to be even more precious than the Buddha himself. And that is also why we say that among the three jewels, the Sangha is really most precious. And the Sangha really refers to any spiritual teacher of any spiritual tradition around the world. They are all very precious. So when you understand their preciousness, because you know about their qualities, then an aspiration arises in your mind. And so now this term devotion in Tibetan, it consists of two syllables, mögu, and mö means this aspiration. So this aspiration arises. And with this aspiration, you are able to connect your mind to the mind of the Guru, which is like the sun. So you connect to the mind of the Guru because you understand how precious the Guru is. And because you understand how precious the Guru is, you will consider whatever the Guru tells you as true and authentic, and you will follow the Guru's instructions. And that is the second syllable, gu, mögu. Gu means to respect. So first you aspire, and then you respect, which means you heed the instructions of the Guru. You respect the Guru's words. So with mö, with aspiration, you want to accomplish those qualities. You understand those qualities. And you know that if you practice accordingly, it is actually to your own greatest benefit. And also it brings about the happiness of others. So if you want to become free from suffering, you must rely on the three jewels. And to do that, you must follow the instructions that you receive from the Guru, and that is called respect. And you must not allow these instructions to become wasted or spoiled, but you must practice them. You must hold on to these instructions that you have received from the Guru. And that begins with adhering to the instructions that you have received on karma, cause and effect, and that you practice accordingly. And if you practice accordingly, if you really understand karma, then you will be able to practice with the suffering that you experience now in this life. You will take it as the path, and ultimately you will be able to create your own happiness. So really from the bottom of your heart, remember the kindness of all the spiritual teachers. And when this sincere feeling arises, of gratitude arises, that feeling is like the heat, the warmth that melts the ice block. And that is what we call then devotion, or mögu in Tibetan. And then it is important that this arises for all of the spiritual teachers. And when such devotion arises, this feeling, that when this feeling of devotion arises, this warmth, then you will be able to absorb all of the qualities that Guru possesses. because actually, to begin with, the mental continuum of the Guru and your own are the same. But then there is this second continuum that has started, and that is that for now you are believing in a self. And for as long as you perceive a self, it is like the doors of your mind are shut, they're closed. And when you give rise to devotion to the Guru, it is like you're opening up those doors of your mind. And then the qualities of the Guru can also arise within your own mind. And it's very similar to a relationship that you have with a companion that you love very much. Because you love that companion very much, that love naturally opens you up, opens your mind up to that companion, opens your heart up to that companion. And that's very similar to devotion. So devotion is, it is that for this reason, it is like the sun.
Lama Kangrestang, Romag, Muinimani, Devas, Kangre, Romag, Muinimati, Yichit, Ranka Lamatara, Gawada Tiaga, Yichiona, the Lamati, the Romatera, and Gigi, Unguyore, Nigi, Hanitli, let them be a tag and Namza, the Landog, ne Captain Tato with me, they are good, don't make a joke of let them do of two children. This is chatter or it, this is sending only, this is the chatter tongue. The Rango set up your it, then a later be landed and so told your head, so have the tradition about the technical motor your head. Something a technique. Then you want to let the daily chichina, the long job to your later daily chichina. The couple doing a tiny chitaba, Tatu David Jotaba, taste of a child with a theatre from market Lamatri, Yichi, May, Lamak in Niji on a Petoyo, Mary, Romak Yichimena, as a killing younger Mary, Yichimena, the new Madometry, Tataniba Chibo, your Mary, Lamakish in Italy, Tachabo, Yenayang, then Chantung Kari original. Munjetis, Romi Lamata, Romi Lamata, Lame Somata, what is the song Yore, Kawasabuka, Teta, Kokaya, Yore, Yena, Tengsan, Lame Somata, Gona, Zabadi Somaya, what took that talk of Mary, Romi Lamata, Lamalo took that talk of Mary, Data Chichaba, Mrs. Haji in Jang, Tata, Katoni Yore, or Teta Venetini. 니가지 발라 마타를 못 차와래. 로마지 토마니 라마중을 딱거리. 찍찍으면 저 가리 로마랑 동이 쪼고 뭐 로마랑 그 발라마를 파 쪼고 하는지 쪼를 딱거리. 들이 니모 보면 그 중마도 요딘 통투고 말이. 예를 들들이 다다다 등산강에 70대 톡대요래. 얘는 라마들이 이제 몇주 많이 왔다 붙이게 레좀데 남자라면 성대 양다와 얘기잖아. 뭐 그런 가르치 소소 좋은 거야 좋으라고 말이. 매일 라마 교실이 파종다나 도지 랑람록과를 쇼네. 랑이 좀데 랑들 랑 종라고 말이. 라마 그런 종라야 강이 요 말이. 광 삼리기면 광 종라고 말도 서쪽에 로미 그다음에 타고 종라야 요 말이 대직진 가를 때로 저 망고 요래 대중 체시들이 대리 문이지라 로마는 게 주다고 등상 로마는 용띠 가리고도 오 로마는 용띠 말라리 받아주고도 라마는 용띠 가리고 라마라는 거다 주트도 내 추추시하고 쭉 가리고 용띠고 라마 용띠 차상면은 많다들 로마들 경탁을 삼지고 삼지 싸움하대 고장이 메봐 오 대요들이 대수송들 말에 배송 말이 오 롱륵 빙하 대발아 지진질 라마 메제랑 토끼도 들어가지 지지지 라마 제사 용띠면은 삼지고 그러지 소시 대도 싸움했다 용띠 가면 다 삼지 싸움하지 로마들이 좀 틀어서 뒤집어도 오면 용띠 가요 말이지 소소소소 다 그요. 진짜 로마랑 나랑 로마 용띠 가고 따나 Titi, Chongraya, your marriage, Romi Lamatana, just a Chongra is.
So the guru's four kayas is like a snow mountain, and then the disciples' devotion is like the sun. And so now that devotion is basically, it is a trust in the guru. And now it is that you love the guru and you fully trust that guru. And the quality of the guru is that the guru must have compassion for the disciple. And then with compassion, then the guru teaches the disciple with his speech. He teaches the teachings on karma, cause and effect, all the levels of karma, cause and effect, the teachings on what one should do and what one shouldn't do, and the teachings on how to create the causes of happiness and avoid the causes of suffering temporarily and ultimately. And so these instructions are like water. And if you trust them and practice them, it is like you're drinking the water. So when you drink the water, your thirst will be quenched. And then you will survive. Your life force will be sustained if you drink water. So it is important that when we trust the guru, that we are also able to listen to the instructions that we receive from the guru, that we are able to heed the guru's words. And if you heed the guru's words and you practice accordingly, then you are really able to protect yourself. That is, if you trust in karma really. And if you trust in karma, then you will be able to accept whatever suffering you encounter now, and you will be able to create the causes for happiness for the future. So if a disciple doesn't fully trust the guru, even though the guru might have great compassion, the guru will not really be able to benefit that disciple because the disciple doesn't trust. And if the disciple doesn't trust, then he just won't listen what the guru has to say. So if those two qualities of guru and disciple do not come together, then not much will be accomplished actually. In the old days, it is said that when we look for a teacher or a disciple, then there are certain things that we need to look at. So there's teachings on how guru has to evaluate the disciple and vice versa. And in the fortunate aeon, there was a time where this was actually possible. But these times have passed. So nowadays, if a guru really would try to evaluate the disciple and try to find the disciple that meets all the criteria as they are mentioned in the scriptures, he could travel around the whole world and wouldn't find a single suitable disciple nowadays. For example, and then vice versa, it's the same. For example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is actually a real Buddha emanation, and still there is people who criticize him. So these times for mutual evaluation really have passed. What happens nowadays is actually we are not looking for the qualities of anyone, we are looking for their faults. So nowadays, what people do is that the first thing they do is when they meet a guru is to try to evaluate their faults, try to find their faults. So actually, the reason why a disciple wants to practice is because they want to become free from suffering. And the way they do that when they evaluate and criticize a guru is actually almost like a pretense of trying to safeguard them from suffering by criticizing their faults, when actually they are here to liberate themselves first. So nowadays anyways, all we can really see is the faults in others, and we can hardly see their good qualities. And in fact, that's the biggest problem that we have in the present day. And now clearly we have that problem in the mundane sense, but even in the Dharma. So actually, even if you find a certain fault in teacher, then basically all that you need to do is listen to the instructions and practice them. But instead, if you go around and tell people about the faults of that teacher, then you still cannot actually affect the teacher in any way. You will not, for example, if you wanted to bring a teacher down, you couldn't do that because he can only bring himself down, really. And you can bring yourself down. And so the point is that you have to practice yourself. And if you are blind to the workings of karma and what to do and what not to do, if you go astray, then you yourself will actually bring yourself down. But you're not bringing anyone down by speaking ill of them. If that teacher really lacks love and compassion, then he will bring himself down anyways. But he will not be brought down by anyone's talk at all. So everyone can only bring themselves down. And so nowadays, this is really the biggest problem that we face in the Dharma in the world nowadays. So what we actually should do instead of evaluating each other is evaluate ourselves. And so a disciple should look at themselves and see what are the qualities that I, as a disciple, should possess. So the perfect qualities, a perfect example of a perfect disciple is someone like Milarepa, for example. And then likewise, a guru, a teacher who is teaching the Dharma, should evaluate themselves. What qualities should I possess in order to teach the Dharma? And of course, again, in the scriptures, there are many qualities that are mentioned. But even if you don't have all of those qualities, the most important quality to have as a teacher is completely pure love and compassion for others, without any bias at all, without any preference of one person is better than the other person. Everyone is completely loved equally. And so Milarepa had said, for example, for the qualities of a teacher, he said that it is good for a teacher to have the knowledge of the scriptures and instructions and the lineage and all of that. But the most important, first and foremost quality a guru must have is compassion for the disciple. And if one has that, then even if not all of the other qualities are perfectly complete, then still one can protect, one can benefit those disciples. And so whether or not you have those qualities is something that you can only see for yourself. So you should take an honest look at yourself and see whether or not you actually have those qualities. Now really is the time where the disciples really have to look at themselves and the gurus have to look at themselves. And if you really take an honest look at yourself, then certainly you will not go astray.
네, 등상 라마를 종교고도 와서 라메 용tin, 라메 투주고 용tin, 송고 용tin, 강양 마실래, 라메 속티 메르종 대치보로 돌려들이 들이 제가 딱 했다나 용tin이 좀 용tin 짜장 동초거리, 좀 짜장 보고 동거리, 좀대 용tin 제가 지 잡고 지선장나 사가빌다가 손발이 룸보 잡고 지선장시 케베랑 제시죠. 케바랑 제주노 라마지 송고 용tin 된바이가 동 데르티 답이 추 송사버로 되네. 들이랑 지시바요. 사바데 행지다 보자서나 노아칸 요 말이 케베랑 제 라마 용tin 송고 용tin 토기 용tin 답이 정식 요래지. 라마 저거도 짱짱서나 데라 칼라야 사고래. 똑바용 딴 거래. 딱 중마도 통투고 말이. 진짜 고고쪽에 송바래. 라마 잡고는 송거래. 사지 문은 라마 머르종스. 담잡 동버 가든 망기지. 라도 마종스나 이체 곰스. 제도 남라 태통 록대제. 대다를 라랑 라랑 종라야만. 라마를 종라로야 강야 열매. 다톡이 지와니 지와 체람을 따라가 종라 요리 인기와레스. 대다를 상어도는 돈나 세 라마 빼 라마 족 라마 족든지 야 요말 럼 송도 체만 정거레스 송도 체만은 라마 센드 정거레스 세 빼들 송디 빼 라마 나는 중자 동제 라마 초다 동제 라마 까리 기암비 도마 쇼감이 다봉이 도마 쇼고 삼로 바도 톱송 삼로 종사를 송고 삼로티 라린 소드면은 섭저 소독바 대 나그 진실라 말 대리 오 나글라마 대리 사지형 대리 라마다랑시 사지에서 찍는 된 거고 대 가령 믿는 진실 봐요가 대 라마는 된 거고 그랬지 랑시 사지에 시바데 오 진실 되게들이 달랑들 만날 봐 연구요래 대 따문데 라마 톡 돈이 hingi 속도 대 진tab나 들이 라마 대리 동탈 라마다랑시 사지에서 찍도 도고래 성지에서 온 들이 뭐가 탈톡 봐요들이 징이 빠치 가지 전에 랍상되니까 들이 진실 봐요 들이 삼바다 hingi 들어봐 라소바 트이톡고 요래 대게들이 내가 성성되던 거래 대디 좁고 요래 진실 봐요 봐서 저기 돌 좁려고 요래 저기 돌 좁서 들이 뭐야 요 말이 저거 설마 맞점이 유모 봉화도 소소들이 데비들 쪼가 요 말이들이 사지 좀 되게 랑랑 쪽 거래지 좀 탑도 공부도 많이 했지 때 강철이 시합도 쪽 거래 니지가 쪽 거래 때다는 놈이 있었더니 라마라시 예미들이 라그 진실을 거들 라마는 지나 들이 종강이라야 요 말이지 들이 깨지야 요 말이 보절로 요 말이 들이 기체 보래 뭐가 탈토 봐들이 다다 대 적지에 대해서 그요래 라마들 진바냐도 진시나 다음에 되게 다 먹을 라마들 홍지 당연히 먹을 때 하고 요래 라마 세고 시랍다 라가 세고 진시요 제발 빠삼요 말이 대 사제가 세고 시랍다 시랍서 뭐 시랍고 유인데 저바이 봐 하고라더니 라마다랑시 사제에서 적다 덮어 남절라 진짜 돼서 오고 소말에 고통당을 대사와 하고 탐나 늘 라마 중간으로 말했어 되게 좀
And so nowadays what happens a lot is that people are talking about the faults of various teachers, various gurus. And so that shows that they do not really understand the qualities of a guru's mind and speech. And they just see that guru as a human being. They just see the outer form. They just evaluate the outer form of the guru, and then they analyze only that. And then when they analyze the outer form, then all they can see is just a pile of faults and no qualities. And then they express those faults, they proclaim those faults, and then other people follow these words. Sakya Pandita had said that like foolish people follow like mere expressions or words of others, whatever they hear basically. And a wise person, a sensible person, who understands the qualities of the actual qualities of the guru, will understand that the qualities of the guru are within their speech and within their mind. So a wise, a sensible person will be able to regard the guru's instructions rather than the outer appearance. So they will follow the teachings on the twofold truth and on sustaining mindfulness and awareness and sustaining love and compassion. And then if we follow that, then clearly we will not go astray. And if we only look at the body, then obviously we will only see faults. The guru is also just a human being. The guru needs to eat food like us, needs to poop like us, just like us, the same. Actually, there's one other instruction given by Chamgyung Kongtrul Rinpoche. So basically, he said that the guru, the guru is the Buddha appearing in human form, And we need to heed the Guru's profound instructions and trust in them. And those who cannot do that and criticize the Guru's activities will develop wrong views. So, and that is their own loss in all future lifetimes. So he says compassion for all those beings who do that. Because in the end, you will only lose out yourself and actually not that teacher. But in all future lifetimes, this negativity that you have generated in your mind will follow you. So we should not regard the guru, the teacher, no, we should not analyze his outer form at all. And we should not even identify his outer form with the guru. But what we should really hold as the actual guru is the guru's instructions and the guru's mind. The outer form of the guru is just an illustration of a guru. But really what's important is what is within. The actual guru actually is your ultimately is your own mind. For example, when you're taking the refuge vow, there is this mind in you that thinks, I want to take refuge. And then you think, now I have received refuge. And then you think, now I have to observe the refuge precepts. And so that mind, that is your own mindfulness. In the 37 practices, in verse number 36, it talks about this mindfulness. And this mindfulness, that is your actual guru, your inner Buddha. So this is how you need to recognize that the guru's mind, the Buddha's mind, and your own mind are actually one. They are one within mindfulness and within clear mindfulness. And this mindfulness should be recognized as the actual guru. And that is what is meant with saying my own mind is the Buddha. It is with mindfulness that you know, if you're mindful, you know clearly what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And so the actual mind of the guru is on the ultimate level, this union of emptiness and compassion. And if you always uphold that, then you really have the guru within you at all times. And in the end, you realize, as Jigten Sumgön had said, you realize that your own mind, the guru's mind, and the Buddha's mind are all one. And that's the ultimate devotion, actually. And so, especially when in the face of difficult circumstances and obstacles, in those moments, you have to be able to sustain mindfulness. And with mindfulness, you are sustaining love, compassion, and patience. And if you're able to do that, then temporarily you will protect yourself from the suffering of the 3 lower realms. It is because of mindfulness. Because of mindfulness, you are protecting yourself in terms of the causes. And if you protect yourself from the wrong causes, when those causes are not created, then the corresponding results can also not ripen. And so, in other words, or conversely, if on the other hand you do not protect yourself from those causes, that is, if you become controlled by the afflictive emotions, then no one can protect you from the ripening of results. Even the Buddha himself. The Buddha himself had said, I can show you the methods that lead to liberation, but liberation itself depends on yourself. You have to protect yourself. And you protect yourself if you develop mindfulness and compassion. And this is how your mind ultimately then merges indivisibly with the Guru's mind. So the Guru's mind should be recognized in essence to be your own mindfulness and nothing else. And that mindfulness is always there. It is your own mind. It is unchanging. So that's the ultimate devotion. Or in the Dzogchen teachings, for example, it says that if at all times the the guru and mental and mindful presence are sustained, so when the guru's presence in your mind and awareness are sustained, that is the ultimate devotion, the ultimate guru devotion. And you have to recognize then that the guru's wisdom mind and your own mindfulness are not different at all. They are one single mental continuum. When you finally realize that, then it is, as Jigten Sumgön had said, I'm a yogin who has realized my own mind, the Guru's mind, and the Buddha's mind to be one. So if you can understand that, then you will simply be unable to see any faults in any Guru. So that's a really very important point.
Then lali sobdimana somebody ta ngage ke changi chudo tamchi ke karchiwa kangri chuta kada chulok kare yamba mare kare yamba donna diri sulang diri kubandebni war chuda kada ladi kubandebni ngamaret kangi na de lali sobdimana somebody Mimowa ke jase jida ke nipa ningla dani nyam jepe eso. Tekwa chele chokwa kanza ke nipa memna jase lani eso bade. Dani kare sile nyam jore kanza chile kopata we. Sanglo tangla, ya kanza deke chushe chungre yore tamje me kache deba do na tiri di nipa de tata yin chun kopata me jingolo yungo yore ete. Be yala mesi ya rogo na lo mabola koba jakim dan rogo ya lam sok be khapores pende ta makom je pangnes te mete makom je sem ni chatsa yore makom ba ni chatsa ju pangne ta thapalam na koba ta ya rogo res ma yokor kik tal ma yok me le la ko mi to kores te ta thapalam do ne 타벨랑 도자리 들들이 아 로카체 강에 잡냐니 냐니 제요나 저 돌아다 그 요리 들이 대회 득받쳐 요리지 대회 뒤 탐색 같은 득받쳐 소시다리 꼬바데비 진거로 요거 요리 대회들이 고속가래 예나티 살서바 꼬바다야티 다음 잠이 데모는 소바에 감성심지 세자리 감성심지 뒤쪽으로 세나 산속 선발을 거 봤다 보니 선득 받쳐야 산속 선발을 거 받도록 받쳐 그래야지. 뒤 산속 선발 될 노도살라고 요말 뒤 니바데 먹고 제래. 산속 선발 될 코를 거 봤다나 저 코조 바공 그래. 오 말 거 봤대미나 가니를 참아 피소도 뭐한테 거 산속 선발. 말 거 봤대미때 샤도코 기소고 라고 요말에 사적 습관을 피다는 거 봤죠. 찌꺼찌꺼 뭐는 잡고 그빠한테 니 코랑 내가 데려들이 심지 탈랑을 놓고리 하등서 잡고서 내 죽고 때려지 하다같이 보여야지 될 때는 내가 나 참조를 해야지.
So there's one really important thing that I want to share with you, my Dharma friends, and especially now that's in the context of the 37 practices also, and that is now it refers to verse number 32, and it says, "Don't mention the faults of those who have entered the great vehicle." So we should not mention the faults of anyone. We should not denigrate anyone, no matter what religion they belong to or what nationality or race they belong to, whoever they are. We should not criticize any of them. So that is whether in a Dharma or in a worldly sense now. We should not criticize people or religions and so forth. And so anyways, in the 37 practices, in verse number 32, it says, "If you are driven by disturbing emotions and talk about another bodhisattva's faults, it is actually to your own detriment. So don't mention the faults of those who have entered the great vehicle. This is the way of a bodhisattva. So it says it is actually your own detriment. So you're actually bringing yourself down. And how do you do that? It is because, for example, there is a teacher who has some disciples and he teaches them the Dharma and they all get along and are harmonious. And then if you criticize that teacher, for example, then many people might turn away from that teacher. They might lose their faith altogether. And why? Because you criticize that teacher. And so, for example, it is just like imagine you're walking up a staircase for many years. So you're very tired and it's very exhausting. It's a very hard, like a hard like way to go because you have to go uphill. And so that is just like now we have been born as a precious human body in a precious human life. So we are free of the 8 unfree states, and then there's actually more of these factors that explained. There's basically 24 of different states that we are free from. So we have all of these freedoms now, all of these qualities to achieve liberation. So we are walking on that path uphill towards liberation, and it is a very difficult path. And going up is very difficult, but falling down happens in one moment very easily. So if we cause someone to fall down, they fall down in an instant. And all these, each and every step that they have taken on that path to liberation becomes spoiled, and they all fall down again. So no matter how many years they have practiced, it's all spoiled. And that is the reason why it is said there is nothing worse than criticizing or speaking of the faults of such a teacher or of anyone really. It is because the way we are bringing ourselves down is that there is a negativity of bringing others down. So however many steps they have taken, however many people there are, they all collapse. And that is really due to what you have said. Also in the prayer of Sukhavati, Changme Ragasa says that it is a greater evil to humiliate or criticize a bodhisattva than to kill all sentient beings in the 3 realms of samsara in one instant. And now the reason is that because the bodhisattvas are actually, or those who have entered the great vehicle, those teachers, are guiding people on the path to liberation. And so we turn it all around for them if we criticize them. And so we are not actually, by doing that, we are not actually harming that bodhisattva, because to the bodhisattva, him or herself, it makes really no difference. Actually, the bodhisattva's aspiration is that may all beings be well and happy. Those who like me and those who do not like me, those who harm me or criticize me, may they all be well and happy. So to them personally, it really doesn't make a difference at all. But then there is all of those who hear that, and they are all brought down from their path of liberation. So we are causing many sentient beings to turn away from the path of liberation, and there's really nothing worse than that, nothing more harmful than that. So because that is really very serious, it is extremely important to be very, very careful when it comes to that in these kind of circumstances. So this is the point where I'd like to stop the teachings today.
내가 손들이 다낭도 못 쫓아버렸지. 나랑 그 가르쳐 그 저돌라고 잠불링나 출록돼요 제제라. 삼모당은 중단이 이가 요래서 중단이 이가 요래 용지 그 찬이잖아. 용띠 내 가시면이 주력 찍다요 말이지. 용띠 그 차니스 로장치나. 저는 잡벨이 주력 참아를 기디 말이지. 라고 사자 자사이지. 주력 매와 상마 3년기 고사리지. 파마리지. 대체로 빼서 받지 못하고 샘 거양 보차거든. 대도 오지나 서받지 못 착사를 저도 왜 하고 말이지. 소소한 대랑 제가요. 대위가 다 나는 집어지게 소치샘 따로 고도 다라고 마다랑 라그 샘마다 사지도나 마다가 센터가 쳤다는 거요래. 소소로 다 나는 뭐지거나 대가는 들이라고 교신이나 그때 뭐 제맞지 대야자 책같이 뭐지 라그 때는 주도가 탐지라 제가 했지.
And so for the practice of Guru Yoga, we have said that the essence of Guru devotion are the qualities of the Guru. And for that it all is summarized in one line. And that's most important to remember for the qualities, the essence of Guru devotion or Guru Yoga. And that is in order to develop those qualities, we need a pure perception and we need devotion. That's really most important, no matter what other people do or not do. And so now in this world, there's many different religions, and everyone in this world has both faults and also qualities, but we should really focus our attention on the good qualities of them. Because there is some people who don't have any religion at all, for example. So basically, anyone who follows any religion or spiritual path in this world should be seen as a Sangha, and when we see them, we should feel like joining our palms in respect. And then all those who have no spiritual direction, they are our objects of love and compassion. They are our parents. And when you only have those two kinds of beings, those of respect and those of compassion, then your mind will really feel very happy and very light and relaxed. And so this is what I personally practice. And that's why I feel that you will also feel very happy and relaxed if you practice in this way. And so the point of a pure perception is that you have to purify your own mind, not others' minds. So whether others are pure or impure, it doesn't really matter to you, because you have to purify your own mind. And if you do not purify your own mind, you will continue to become tied down and contracted by your impure mind. So if you have a pure perception and devotion to the Guru, then you will also be able to heed the Guru's instructions accordingly and exactly as the Guru had told you. So anyways, at this point, I would like to stop my Dharma friends.
Thank you.
Page number 17. Kariraven korve shengamsa pendan dewa malen jungwene jenre zewang den zen jansoye shambe senden parandan den yoran Honjokundu shaja senge Temban zenjeng brevendanye je Kunzan jemben don den chen len cho Len de jeb zan la me jam de song Honjo sam jen dan yen de hong pe Temban zen lan da de ren to ji Bodhicitta, page number 21. You have Hebrew? 20.
עמוד 22 למטה. Om Bodhicitta nala vikara im lo nolda lutivalen zu shenolda lulotindach elat sag vetifra
chancho samjo Todaraba.